Next thing that we need to talk about is my belt setup. Found this belt a little over a year ago from a company called Nexbelt. A very similar style to the Kore Essentials belts, but I just love the minimalist look and feel of these belts much better. I also like the button for release a lot better on these, and I have been wearing this belt pretty much religiously since I got it, and I haven't looked back at any other belt. There are some wear marks on the back side of it, and I have one little scrape on the top of the buckle from when I was shooting prone, but other than that, this belt is held up really, really well. And if you're new to concealed carry, there are two things you have to give you a good experience. You need a really good belt, and you need a really good holster setup. And you're gonna need a good holster. So once you have the proper holster and the proper belt, you almost don't even know you're carrying it. It's like a wallet at that point. So let's talk about knives, because I have some new knives that I wanted to show you guys and kind of tell you what my experience has been like. And I wanted to update you on some knives that were from the last EDC update. That way you could see how they've held up over time. Just so you guys know, if you see anything in today's video, just follow the first link in the description, and that link will also be pinned in the comment section for you. Let's scoot these to the side for a second. So in the previous EDC update, I had a couple of different knives, and two of which were these. This is my airport knife. This is a Kershaw Cryo, and they come in a bunch of different colors and a bunch of different blade shapes, and this one is currently in the Tonto. These are only about $25 to $35, kind of depending on where you get them. I had one that had a drop point blade for a while that my wife stole it, and so I ordered this one. And this is my travel knife, so I'll put this in my checked luggage whenever I'm traveling somewhere, and that way if it gets lost or stolen, I'm only out about $25 to $30. Next up, in the last EDC update, I was talking about this, and this is a Fox Knives Karambit, and this one happens to be the Warrior Poet edition. This one has the Tonto blade on it. This one has the red liner, but you can get them with the black liner. And there might even be some other colors available now. I haven't looked in a long time, but this one's made from Fox Knives, and they're made in Italy. And if you know anything about Fox Knives, they're the people that make fighting style karambits. I'm not a knife fighter, but I love them because these deploy when you can pull them out of your pocket using this hook right here. On this one, you can reverse the clip to the other side over here in case you're left-handed or right-handed. I have it currently set up for a right-handed. It also has a flipper mechanism on the back. This one's not an assisted opening, and so it will flip out. There's not a whole lot of weight to the blade, so at first it almost feels like it's not gonna flip out, but you kind of have to break it in a little bit, and I just love this guy to death. Now, I wanted to talk about a couple of new knives that I have since the last EDC update. We'll start on the left, work our way to the right. These two right here are two new knives from SOG, and honestly, I've never owned a SOG knife before. This one is the Terminus XR, and I believe they have one called a Terminus SJ. I think the main difference between the two is the Terminus SJ doesn't have the flipper back here, it just uses the thumb stud. But this one has carbon fiber grips or scales, whatever you want to call them. The pocket clip is tip up, and it can be reversed to the other side over here. It's a non-assisted opening, and it's an S35VN blade steel, which is a blade steel that I typically like. It's easy to sharpen, and it kind of holds an edge pretty good. This one took a little bit of breaking in for me to get it to where I could really flip it open. It does have a drop point style blade, and I have polished and sharpened this knife. I don't know how well we can get that on frame here. I won't know until we get into the editing room how well you can see the shine on this edge. And I'll show you how I did that here in a little bit. But this is part of their new line. They're stating that these are made for like duty or everyday carry type stuff. And this one comes in, I believe this is titanium nitride. There's a lock right here, and you simply just pull it down to bring it back in. But this has been my go-to for the past 8 or 9 months. It is incredibly lightweight because of these carbon fiber scales. As I mentioned earlier, I've never had a SOG knife before. In the past, when I've looked at SOG knives, they just didn't really have anything that I felt like fit the bill for me. And I heard mixed reviews about them, but I can honestly say these Terminus XRs are quite nice, and they're fairly priced considering the blade steel that's on them. They're about $140, kind of depending on where you pick them up. I will have some links to them over at the parts list just in case, but this one I 100% recommend it. Now, one of the other ones that I got from SOG is this guy called the SOG Pentagon OTF knife. And this knife, I thought I was gonna carry it a lot more than I actually do. It is an OTF knife that also has an S35 VN steel on it. It's the double edge, so it's a dagger style, but the grip, the scales, and the button are very reminiscent of the Benchmade Infidel. But the difference is the Benchmade Infidel cost $150 more than this one. I'm not saying that this one is just as good as an Infidel. I don't know, I've never owned an Infidel. But these cost about $350 and the Infidels are about $495. And the reason I wanted to get this was I wanted to test something out that had that same style as an Infidel. And I'll be honest with you, I'm just not a big fan of the size and the style of this knife. And let me show you what I mean. So right here, I have my Microtech Ultratech that has the double-edged blade right here. It's a double-edged Tonto. It's called the Spartan. I don't know if these are still available, but you can literally pick these up for the same price or less than this. And this comes with an S35 VN steel. And then these come with the M390 steel, which is a much higher end blade steel than the S35 VN. So this one is much less pocketable and much heavier than this one. In regards to the action of these, they're not going to deploy in your pocket because you have to push these mechanisms really far to get them to deploy, and they deploy at about the same speed. Let me get them pretty close to the tipping point. Okay, so they come out about the same speed. Going in, they kind of go in at the same speed as well. The pocket clip on this one is much smaller. It's technically a deep carry, but it's not because you still have this part up here that sticks out. This one's not a deep carry, but these carry very well in the pocket. They almost disappear because they're lightweight and they got that small form factor. And this one has a glass breaker on the end of it. I paid full price for this one, and this one was sent to me by SOG. In my honest opinion, if I had to spend the same amount of money on either one of these, I would get this one before I'd get this one. Now, if they make a smaller version of this one, I might change my mind on that. But as of right now, I like the Ultratech better. Now, a new one that I just picked up is another folding karambit that is an assisted opening with a blade style that's very similar to the Spyderco Yojimbo. Yeah, this one's been customized, so, but it has that very straight edge. I forgot the proper name for the edge, but it does have that same edge as the Yojimbo, and I like that a lot. Now this one is made by Smith & Wesson and only cost about $26. I don't even know what kind of blade steel it is. It does come out of the box very, very sharp. Has really good jimping up here on the top, and it goes onto the blade a little bit. And then down here, you have a little jimping that's on the liner lock that your index finger can grab to prevent you from sliding up over the blade, and you can get a really good grip on it. And this one also has a hook so that you can deploy it coming out of your pocket. But there is a con to this deployment method, and this is what I mean. So right here, you have a push button lock, and the lock is here to prevent this from deploying out, okay? So when it's red means fire, you know, it's good to go. So this one right now, I like to pull these out of my pocket where I can grab the blade. I like to have these out of my pocket so I can hold it like this, in this style, in case I was to get in a fight or something. And this one, you can only do that if you're left-handed. If you're right-handed, you're gonna have to pull it out so that the blade is facing behind you. And the reasoning is, so if you put this clip on this side to make it right-handed, so you can pull it out in the fashion that I wanna pull it out like this, the problem is your pants underneath the clip on this side will push this forwards before you can catch this part on your pants, and it just prevents it from deploying. But for $26, it's actually a really good feeling folding karambit, especially if you didn't want to go spend, like, I believe these were about 130 or so. And if you compare the two, they're almost identical in size and shape until you get to the ring right here. The ring on the Fox knife is much smaller and easy to grab. This one kind of has like this double shape so that the liner is part of the ring, and it's a lot larger, sticking out of your pocket, so it's going to be a little bit more conspicuous. But like I said, for 26 bucks that I paid for this for over, I think, 1 or 2 days shipping, like I said, I'll have a link at the parts list. this knife has been really, really awesome. Now, something else I wanted to talk about briefly is knife sharpening, because I don't really like sitting around sharpening knives all day. I don't really have the patience for it. I mean, I'm starting to develop a little bit of a patience for it, but I just want something that's gonna work good. I don't really wanna get around the whole learning curve of learning to hold the correct blade angle. In my last EDC video, I had showed you guys this Work Sharp. It's called the Precision Adjust Knife Sharpener. And I really like it because you can control the angle and it doesn't cost a ton of money like those Wicked Edge systems and stuff like that. And the cool thing is it folds up, you can put it together, and I will show you guys some B-roll footage of it, but you can essentially take any knife and you clamp it down to this guy, you know, right here. And then these little rods right here will connect up into here, and then you just move the stone and whatever up and down, and you can get a perfect edge. And then right here, you can control the angle by twisting this knob, and then there's an angle gauge right there. So I love this to death because of that. Well, the original kit that I picked up only came with this, which has an 800 grit, it has a 600 grit, and then it has a ceramic stone. And you can get quite sharp using that. But since that point in time, they have came out with an upgrade kit. I believe for just this and this, I paid about $60 or $70, something like that. So if you already own one of these, you can either buy the upgrade kit to go with this, or if you don't own one of these, you can buy the whole thing together. I'll have links to the different ones over at the parts list. But when you pick up the upgrade kit, it will come with another one of the 600, 800 with the ceramic stone. It'll also come with an additional grit here that has 320, 400, and 220. And so if you have a harder blade that really needs a lot more work, you can work with that. But then it also has a leather strop that's preloaded with green polishing compound. And obviously you'd want to buy more green compound, but it is preloaded out of the box. And then it comes with this nice little accessory tray, and they just clip into place. And so if you already own the Precision Adjust, you could just buy this carrying case with these 3 extra stones and then put yours into here. Or if you don't own it, you can buy the whole thing together. I think it's about 120 all together if you don't already own one. Now, something that I have been doing with this since I got it, I picked up some of this glue here, and I'll have a link to it because it's very hard to find and it will last forever. And it is a little bit pricey for what it is. But this is an adhesive that comes off very easily but holds while it's on. And what I would do is I bought a bunch of this sandpaper here, you know, 1000 grit through 2500 grit, and I'd cut a piece to be big enough to fit onto the ceramic stone. So I put a tiny bit of glue down, have the piece cut, put that down, and then I could get a mirror polish on my blades and make them a lot sharper. So you can actually take it a lot further and get finer grits if, you know, the ceramic stone in the 800 is not fine enough for you. You could just use sandpaper and some of this glue. And then another thing that doesn't come from Work Sharp, but I think is very, very good. I forgot the channel that makes this. There's a YouTube channel that has one of these, and he's made upgrades for it. But something I've noticed is when you're sharpening the knife, this little guy here will flex on you, which will change the angle if you're not careful. And so this little piece slides up under, and you just tighten it down like this, and now it won't flex anymore. I believe I paid about 10 bucks, maybe $5 for this. I'll have a link to it, but this has been a lifesaver. The next thing we should talk about is I wanted to update you guys on the watch situation. These two from the previous EDC update. This one is a Seiko. I forget the actual brand name, but I will have a link over at the list. I bought this about a year ago, and so far it's holding up quite nicely. This is a dive watch, and I wanted it because it had all the blacked out dials and the blacked out date, the blacked out bezel, and the blacked out. I don't believe I got the strap from them. I bought the strap aftermarket, but it works really good and I love it. This is the watch I wear when I'm not trying to be rough with anything. Although it's black and PVD and all that stuff, this isn't my dressiest watch, but I have others for that, but this one is just something that I want to try to take more care of. The other thing is I don't really go to the range in this. Because it's an automatic movement, it can mess with the shock from the recoil of a firearm, can kind of speed up or slow down the timing. But you know, I like automatic watches. I'm a big fan, and it's obviously not ticking because I haven't worn it in a couple of weeks. But if you just shake it up, You can see how the hand starts sweeping right there. Great watch, I do recommend them. And then for my beater watch, I picked up this guy. This is a Casio G-Shock, but it's more low profile than other G-Shocks. I think I paid about $98 for it. And they have multiple colors, and I got mine in just all black. Now, a newer watch that I've recently picked up is this guy. And this is the first time a company has ever sent me a watch before. This comes from a company called Armorlight. And this one in particular is called their ISO Bright line. And I don't know if I can show you, I'll have to get some different B-roll, but each one of these indices, not only are they photoluminescent, what that means, if I shine a light on it, like that, they will start glowing, you know, quite a bit more. I will get some B-roll to show you. But each one of these indices also has tritium in it, similar to like what Luminox does. Now the cool thing is the casing on this is made out of polycarbonate that's reinforced with carbon fiber. The tritium markers in it are actually Swiss made, and it does use a quartz movement, but the quartz movement is also Swiss made. Has a place for the date down there. And then the case size is 47 millimeters. It's 14 millimeters thick, and then the lug size for the straps is 22 millimeters. And it comes with this very nice rubber strap, and then it also comes with a strap like this one. I just set it over to the side, so if you wanted to use this, you could use it as well. This is one of the more expensive watches that I do have. I believe these are around the $500 mark, if not a little bit more. But this one has been pretty good. I've only had it for about 3 weeks or so, and I've been wearing it every single day. I've been wearing it to the range and all that crazy stuff. So far so good, but we'll definitely have an update in the next EDC update. The other thing I want to talk about is my wedding band. I used to wear a metal one, and the metal one started giving me this callus on my finger from moving back and forth, and the callus kept getting bigger and bigger, and I could almost not get my ring off. Plus, if you're wearing a wedding band or any type of ring and you break your finger, good luck getting that ring off. I know there's ways to do it, but it's a pain in the butt and it hurts. So I like these. I believe I got this from Groove Life. I have 2 of them actually, because I lost one, then I bought another one, and then I found the one that I lost. So I have 2. I just get them in black, but they have a ton of different colors. On the hand, it doesn't really look rubber. It looks more like it's made out of metal. But for $20, $25, dude, you just can't go wrong with these, especially if you're an outdoorsy type guy and you're always working with your hands. You don't got to worry about scratching up things that you're holding, like guns. You don't got to worry about banging it against your car and scratching the paint. You don't got to worry about if you break your finger, you can't get it off. So this I've been wearing for a couple of years now. Absolutely love it. So for the wallet, I've had this one for about 3 years. I also have one in brown. I am not a fan of the minimalist wallets that go in your front pocket. I have a phone in one pocket, and then I have keys and a knife in another pocket. I just don't want to put a wallet in there too. So I like your traditional bifold wallets that go in the back pocket. Has tons of places for the different cards. You got places for other cards inside. I got my USCCA membership, so if I ever have to defend myself and I have all these things to say, if you have to call 911, that's always on me. And then obviously credit cards, my driver's license and things like that. But this one still feels almost brand new, and this thing has been through a lot. RFID blocking wallets now, which I need to pick up. And they also do have front pocket wallets, if that's something that you're into. They got a bunch of different styles. I've been using them for the past 4 or 5 years total, but this one in particular is 3 years old, and it's holding up just fine. For my keys, I'm still using the key bar. This one is in the PVD black. Got a flash drive on there because I like to record videos. Couple of keys. For my keys here, I talked about this in a previous video, but if you have a car that has a push button start, it's one of the easiest cars in the world to steal. Especially if you have the keyless go entry where you can just walk up to the car and grab the handle and it unlocks. This is always emitting a signal at all times. Basically Faraday pouches, and I have tested these thoroughly. They go in here, you close the pouch, and you cannot unlock the car even if you're right next to it with the key. All right, so let's talk about flashlights. I'll be honest with you guys, flashlights are kind of a weird thing for me. Obviously I still have my Olight S1R baton. I know Olight gets a lot of hate. It is really hard for me to find a replacement for this light because of everything that it does. The reason I say that, right, you get 1,000 lumens, it's rechargeable, and it will clip onto your bill or your cap. It's also magnetic, so you could stick it up under the hood of a car. It's just been really hard for me to find a replacement for this, and I'm not shilling for them, like straight up. Like, doesn't matter to me. They don't pay me for crap. I don't really carry a flashlight in my pocket unless I'm doing something very specific, like out in the woods or what have you, but I do keep them in my car for specific reasons, like you get a flat tire. I've had that happen at 11 o'clock at night, and I've actually used one of these, magnetically stuck it up in the wheel well so I could see when I was changing my tire. I would love to know some recommendations, guys. Let me know down in the comments which lights that you like, because this is kind of a hard light to beat despite the reputation that Olight gets. The one thing I will tell you, just don't put these in your mouth and touch your tongue here. People have had these explode in their mouth before because of that. And it makes sense, because if this is a charging port, then you complete the circuit and your tongue is wet. Nonetheless, they should have included probably a warning for that. But anywho, I have been trying to explore some different flashlights, and this is one from Streamlight called the Wedge, and it's shaped kind of similar to my Microtech Ultratech, although it's much larger. I forget the lumen output on this. I believe there's 500, and then if you push this little lever here, push it further, I believe it gives 1,000 or something like that. But the thing I don't like about it is it's kind of big. It doesn't disappear in your pocket like this Microtech does. And I'm probably gonna get the Surefire Stiletto next. A buddy of mine had one of those, and I love the way that it felt. I just haven't gotten around to ordering it yet. But for flashlights, I'm just not overcomplicating it really. If it works, I'll keep using it. And then when it stops working, I will look for something else. You know, one of the other reasons that I don't carry a flashlight is because I always have my phone on me, and my phone has a flashlight on it anyway. Currently, I'm still carrying the Galaxy S21 Ultra with a case on it that holds an external S Pen. Did want to update you guys on something else though. So about a year or so ago, I was showing you guys this app that I have that I just use it every time I get gas. So I have to get premium gas in my truck and in my car because of the turbos and superchargers and stuff. But right now, like I can get 91, that's all we get out here on the West Coast. I can get 91 octane for like $3.42 a gallon. Essentially you get 97 cents off per gallon, and it changes based on how often you get gas. And also you can share the app with like your friends and families on Facebook, and if they download it and then start getting gas, then it gives you credit to get more money off of gas. I originally learned about this app from my brother-in-law, who's an Uber driver. And the way it works is you essentially go to the gas station, you check in on the app before you pump gas, you select the card that you're gonna use, and then they will put the cash on your app, and then you can just transfer it to your bank account. And just to kind of give you guys an FYI on what I've done, I really only use it for the TRX because my Type R is running on ethanol fuel, and right now there aren't any ethanol stations that participate in this app where I live. So this is all just on the TRX. But over the past year of using this app, I've had $7,300 transferred to my bank account, and I can honestly tell you I haven't spent that much on gas. I might fill up my truck twice a month. At the highest price of gas prices, it's about 150 bucks to fill up the truck. So $300 a month, $300 times 12, 3 times 10, that'd be like $3,600, and I've had $7,300 transferred to my account. And that's just because of sharing this on Facebook with my friends and family so that they can, you know, also download it and use it. And so because we're all kind of connected together and getting gas, we all kind of piggyback off of each other and help each other get more discounts off on the app. I'll have a link down in the description if you want to check it out and download it for yourself, but I recommend it. It's worked well for me. And now finally, let's get into the actual guns that I'm carrying. Let's talk about the holsters, the magazines, and the ammunition. Okay. So over the past couple of years, I've been alternating between 2 Glock pistols. The first one is my custom Glock 19X. I have a complete video about that. I will put that link down in the comments if you want to watch that after this video. And I carried this one for about a year. And this is the MR920 War Poet. Now, traditionally, whenever I carry any handgun, it's gonna have some type of red dot on it, either a Trijicon RMR or a Holosun 507C or 407C or 507K, something like that. I'm also gonna have some kind of sight so that I can co-witness with the red dot. And then I'm gonna have some sort of light on it, the M-Force APLC. And this was just my favorite light, even though it didn't have the most output, because I loved the way that you actuated these paddles. And so I got the majority of my holsters made after these types of lights. You know, and at the time that I was carrying these, you know, Streamlight first came out with the TLR7, and it just didn't have good switches on it. And so there was just no good competitors that had a flush mounted light that I liked, except for this one. And I've never had battery drain issues with these. And then recently, you know, M-Force discontinued the APL and the APL-C line, and they came out with the Wild. This one is the Wild 1, which is a metal body now. They're now 500 lumens instead of 200 lumens, and you have the same types of switches. And then they have a full-size one that's similar to like a Surefire size, and this one is about 1,000 lumens, and this one's called the Wild 2. And I've been putting these through their paces for about a year now, and I don't have any battery drain issues, and they work really well. Unfortunately, because they changed the dimensions on these will not fit my traditional holsters that were made for APL-Cs. And so I had to order a new holster that was made for the Wild 1. This is the Tier 1 concealed. I believe this is the Elite holster. This one was I think this was the Axis Slim, and then they came out with the Axis Elite. And these are by far my favorite holsters, okay? So just a FYI, love them to death. I prefer these types of holsters because they are flexible, they move with your body. They also make these wedges here that go on the back. And what this does is this pushes against your pubic bone and pushes the grip of the gun closer into your abdomen so that you can conceal better. You also have your concealment claw, which is greatly upgraded from the old one. Here's the old one, here's the new one. This one has a bunch of stacks like pancakes, and you can adjust them to fit you perfectly. That also pushes it closer into your abdomen. Additionally, now on the Elites, you have this same kind of standoff here that's molded into the Kydex to push the magazine closer into your abdomen. On the old one, they didn't have that. And so I ordered 3 new holsters. And right now I'm carrying the MR920 War Poet Edition with the Holosun 507C. And this is basically its stock configuration. Like, this is a $1,200 gun, and it comes with everything already on it, threaded barrel, these really bright sights. I have a video on this and why I love it. So I'll put that down in the description if you want to watch it after this video. But I just threw the Wild 1 on here. Ordered the Glock 19 holster for a Wild 1, and I have the end of it opened. That way, if I ever decide to carry this one again, I'm not gonna singe my biscuits. This is what I've been carrying as of lately. Funny story, I'm gonna give him a shout out. I bumped into a gentleman from California the other day. I was at a car dealership. I was just dream car shopping, even though I wasn't gonna buy anything. And he recognized me, and he's like, well, what are you carrying now? And I'm sure if he watches this video, he'll comment below that I was carrying this. But I did get some new guns recently. One gun that I got that was new is I picked up the P365 X Macro. And then in my video that I did on the X Macro, I talked about the Icarus Precision Grip. And I told you guys that I got a TLR 7A for this because Tier 1 Concealed only makes a light bearing holster for the X Macro with a TLR 7A. And I was like, man, I think that this holster might fit because this one has these really big, you know, thumb ledges on each side. I just wasn't sure if it would fit. And so I've done 0 modifications to the holster, and it fits like a dream. So it doesn't matter if you have the stock grip for the X Macro or the Icarus grip, these holsters fit perfectly. And then obviously whenever extensions come out for these mags, I will pick one of those up. I'm not gonna carry this yet, and we'll talk about why here in a minute. And then another gun that I recently acquired was the M&P 2.0 Metal. I have yet to do a review on this, don't worry, it's coming. But this thing is awesome, and I love it to death. And my other M&P holster that I have is for the Enforce APL. Unfortunately, they didn't have a holster for the Wild 1, so I got the TLR 7A for this one, and it's the same exact setup. I will have a review coming on this in the very near future, so if you're not subscribed, hit that button and the notification button, that way you can see the video. So let me show you how a lot of this stuff kind of conceals on your person. So this is the Glock 19 MR920 with the foam wedge, as well as that. Like, look at this. I can pull the shirt quite tight and you can barely see the outline of it there. You can barely see it there. So when your shirt's loose, like, nobody knows like what you're carrying. And that's why I like carrying an appendix rig that also has the mag carrier. The mag carrier balances these holsters out so well, and it fits so much better than if you just had an appendix holster without this portion here. Now, I wanted to clarify one thing about the P365 and why I'm choosing not to carry it yet. As you guys know, the P320, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but that's not the P365. But then Tactical Advisor has a video out, and I'm gonna steal his footage, and you guys should go subscribe to him, where his P365, I believe it's an X macro. If it's not an X macro, it's an XL. But his is getting where when he pulls the trigger, it won't fire, but then if he shakes it like this while holding the trigger, it will fire. Those things combined have me a little bit worried about carrying this while it's pointed at my biscuits. You know what I mean? Guns don't go off unless you pull the trigger, but for some reason, SIG has been having some problems, and I wanna put this really through its paces beyond just shooting it. And so what I mean by that is I wanna go to the range, I'm gonna get some blanks, and we're gonna slam this thing at different angles, and I'm gonna see if I can make this thing go off. And I wanna test all the different drop safes on this thing. I wanna drop it upside down, I wanna drop it on its back, I wanna drop it like this, and I wanna shake it around while I'm at the range, and I wanna see if I can make it fail. I don't know at what point of that type of test will I be comfortable carrying this, but as of right now, I just don't want to. So let me know if you guys have any questions down below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to see the video that I did on this X macro, I will put that right up there for you. But until next time, guys, I love you. You guys stay sexy.